ladies and gentlemen, and here after reading this book, Animal Farm by George Orwell, this is a video about what I think about the book and what I think is the actual idea that the author wants to tell us. Summary of the book, it's basically about a farm where animals decide they want to rule themselves and therefore elected a leader. Things didn't go so well, and in the end they returned back to the same slaves that they were before. This book, I believe, is actually a metaphor for our actual world nowadays. Maybe not as the entire world as a whole, but rather every single country of this world. So why is this book similar to our country? Why? First of all, leaders in this book, specifically Napoleon, the pig here, created an almost perfect scheme. Of course, this is not the case for all leaders, but it is the case for all leaders of all countries. Basically, they create a scheme where the victims, the citizens of the country, cannot escape from. Why? Because in the beginning, the citizens are not educated enough in order to know so. At first in this book, there were 7 amendments. There were 7 rules inside that farm. But then at the end, there's only one rule. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. George Orwell made this specific line very clear. It's all capitalized. Why is this? Because it is true. All humans are equal in literature, but in reality, some are more equal than others. For example, let's first look at a single school in our human world. There is still some inequalities. It's not about rights. It's not about rights. It's about think. It's actually how our brain has developed. We think about inequality as something like they hitting each other, they started talking bad things about each other. No, it's not as complicated as that. It's just as simple as you looking at someone and judge them on their color. Why does this have not been solved yet? Because programs are not yet developed to change someone's mind about this. Secondly, because you can't make a law about it. How can you tell someone's judging someone by their looks and not by other things? That is the exact problem. That is also what is happening right here. Secondly, the thing that why this book is a metaphor for our world is basically our citizens are still trapped in the same cycle. In this book, they start as slaves to freedom, with quotation marks, please mark, freedom, then citizens, and finally ending as slaves. This is what our country is like. First of all, you started from a small cage, namely family expectation. When you get out of that cage, you get into a bigger cage, but it is still a cage called society expectation. And finally, when you reach retirement age, you entered another cage called time. There is no actual freedom in our world. There is no actual freedom in any universe at all, unless it has some kind of logic experience that we have not yet encountered. This world is basically where people are stepping from a smaller cage into a bigger cage, but it is still a cage. So what's the problem? What's the actual problem that we need to solve within this book only? Let's just talk about a smaller dynamic metaphor in order to understand our world better. What is the actual problem here? The problem here is that people trust too much. Of course, I'm not saying that trust is not good. I'm saying that there is some sort of trust issues with our system. It is no longer about the trust whether we understand the government or the trust that we are able to be protected by the government anymore. This is about the trust of being who is trustworthy and who is not. Why? Because some people just invented schemes that are so good you can't escape from it. You can't go anywhere else. If that's the problem, if we can't go anywhere else, then what's the solution? There's only one really simple solution in order to actually solve this issue. Although this may sound as if a negative look inside this situation, however, the most effective solution here is to not trust at all. Okay, this sounds a lot negative than it probably actually is. Okay, we can make deals with each other. We can actually help each other. We can sometimes reveal some of us. But trust is a dangerous thing. Once you lend it to another person, it's really hard to pull it back. Especially when they haven't betrayed you yet. When they already have betrayed your trust, it probably is too late to pull back. And that is why I think that trust is the issue here. If you trust other people, they may betray you. But if you don't, you ended up having some these negative emotions inside you. That is why we have to choose what we share and what we don't share. That is my feelings for the book, and I believe that you can find something that actually makes sense inside my theory, although it sounds unnerving. Thank you for listening.